How's it going, folks? Welcome back to Oopscast with your co-host Kishan Desayan.
Right.
And in today's episode, we got a really jam-packed episode today. We're going to be going over Luka Doncic's prowess in the playoffs. We're going to go over with the Sixers choke, just choking. We're going to go over the awards that just been released. Nick McMillan's firing, and we're going to round things out with the boycott that just happened.
And before we tip things off today, me and Keisha would like to send our deepest condolences to the families of Lute Olson, the former Arizona coach, Chadwick Boseman, who was an iconic actor, and also was in the 2015 celebrity game in the NBA All-Star Weekend. And lastly, Cliff Robinson in the all-time defense team and in the All-Star game also. He just died this morning, and it's very tragic, especially for the NBA family for this year, losing David Stern on New Year's Day. Then a few weeks later, they lose Kobe Bryant. Now they lost Cliff Robinson. It's just very devastating.
I agree, man. It's extremely devastating seeing players like that go. I mean, obviously, we didn't grow up watching Cliff Robinson, but I'm sure people who are, especially Blazers fans, who know this guy and know how great he played, it's probably hurting them right now. And all we can do is send deepest condolences. We know that pain, especially for us too, who grew up, born and raised in LA, watching, regardless of whatever team we enjoyed growing up watching. Kobe Bryant was the hero to us, and him passing away, we felt that pain, and I'm sure Portland Trailblazers fans are feeling that pain with Cliff Robinson. And because we want to send these legends off with the right send-off, we're gonna tip things off with a future legend in the making, Luka Doncic.
Oh, man. When I think of Luka Doncic, I think of the young GOAT. This guy putting up unbelievable numbers in the playoffs in the first round against the LA Clippers. He's putting up almost 30 points per game, averaging 8.6 assists per game, and 10 rebounds per game. That's almost a triple-double for crying out loud. Are you kidding me? He's only 21, and he's putting up this much damage against Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell, all these other players in the Clippers. They're stacking up all these players, and yet they still can't sweep a team like the Dallas Mavericks, who are just a mediocre team.
Outside of Luka Doncic, they're pretty mediocre. Luka is making a statement right now. He's saying, "You guys all might be fathers, but I'm your fucking daddy." Like
Yes, sir.
yeah, he's just like, "Fuck age. I'm about to ball on your ass."
And he's also showing how valuable he is at his age. He's
Mhm.
he's worthy of a max contract.
He
Let's
is.
just hope
He
Mark
is.
Cuban doesn't do the same mistake he did as what he did with Steve Nash and Dirk Nowitzki.
Hey, you remember what Mark Cuban said? If I had to pick between keeping Luka on the Mavs or staying in my marriage, catch me at the lawyer's office prepping my divorce papers. Luka ain't going anywhere.
Hey, that just shows that he's dedicated for the Dallas Mavericks. I gotta
That's
give
just
him
great
that.
stuff. That's just great stuff. And speaking of great big men like Dirk Nowitzki, obviously, Kristaps Porzingis, an esteemed big man, and Kristaps and Luka's partner in crime, just recently tore his meniscus. Grant, what do you have to say about that, man?
You know, it's very bad for lots of reasons, and one of the reasons being is with Kristaps Porzingis, you have a great defensive player and a highly IQ'd big man who can facilitate and who can also score lots of points and can grab rebounds. And with not having his presence on that in the bubble, it's going to be very hard. Although Luka Doncic did have a great game in Game 4 without him, it's still going to be very hard for them because they don't have that big man. They don't have that rising star of him that can do the same thing as he did. So it's definitely going to be very challenging for the Mavericks. They are down 3-2. But if Luka Doncic could play the same way he did in Game 4 against the Clippers, I don't see why they can't get past the Clippers. Although Clippers is going to be a big challenge because they are one of the best defensive team.
They're
Defensive.
in not only best defensive team, but they're also in contention for the title. They're like in talks for winning the title. So if they
Yeah.
get over that hump, oh yeah, Luka's got a bright road ahead of him. And Luka's a great leader, obviously. Like he's showing that. But let's talk about another team with two really good young players, a big man and a guard slash forward. But this time around, that team fucked up real bad in the playoffs. We're talking about the 76ers, who just
Oh,
got
man.
swept by the Celtics.
Man, at first in the last offseason, when I saw they acquired Tobias Harris, Al Horford, and Josh Richardson, I'm like, man, this team's about to crush everybody. When I saw their height, their ability to play the game of basketball, I thought this team was going to go win the championship. But after midway in the season, I'm like, this team, it doesn't make sense. Like, they're not playing well. Al Horford's not himself. Josh Richardson's playing all right. And, like, they're getting these injuries. And, like, I would consider this team as one of the most overrated super teams.
Not just overrated, but probably a failed super team.
Definitely. They're not playing fundamental basketball. And when I think of this team as being bad, I think about a coach who's bad, and it's their head coach, Brett Brown. Throughout his years as the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers, he didn't construct this team to play better basketball, but more to decline. This team just keeps declining as the years go by. And although they did draft Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, and they were winning games with them, they still couldn't get to the conference finals for the least. They were just getting to the second round and they would just lose, or even the first round. They got swept just recently by your Boston Celtics. Like, are you kidding me? Like, you couldn't win at least one game. And yeah, I understand you don't have Ben Simmons, but you have Joel Embiid, potentially the best big man in the league, and you can't win at all. It's very devastating from that case too. It sucks for the Sixers, and Elton Brand, he did a good job by firing Brett Brown. He just wasn't a good coach. He wasn't highly IQ'd. He wasn't teaching their players how to play proper basketball.
Crazy to think that Brett Brown comes from the Popovich system. We got two really bad coaches coming from the Popovich system. We got Brett Brown, and then come on, who can forget about the clown, Jim Boylan? Drop clown emojis for Jim Boylan.
Man, I got to apply to get an application for the for the circus.
Yeah, he does. You get that fucking rainbow wig and get that red nose. Just go in and.
Man, that guy sucks as a coach. You know, like he was getting paid millions just to start tensions with a player like Zach LaVine, for example, and with the organization. Like, if you watch their highlights and their games and even read the media news, you can see that this guy keeps having problems with Zach LaVine and with other players. Like, the players just didn't like this guy. And he wasn't a good coach. He didn't know what he was doing. With a very terrible, terrible record, he got fired immediately. And the Bulls did a good job by firing him. They definitely did. Of course. It didn't make sense to keep a dumb coach like him, a very low IQ human being like him.
Low IQ human being.
Yeah,
that's good.
Guy, he's just not a good fit being an NBA coach. He can go to an AYSO down in North Hollywood or Granada Hills or a different city. He can go be a good coach there, and he might start problems with those little kids.
Yep, and with the going back to the Sixers though, that's already that's already the first step in the right direction. I think on top of that, they should start flipping assets, trade Josh Richardson, trade Al Horford. If you even want to trade Tobias Harris, if you really need to. I think
I think otherwise. Tobias Harris is a great fit, a very aggressive player.
Play him at the power forward.
He's a pure scorer, though. Like, he can play the 3 and 4 position. I don't think what you said makes sense because Tobias Harris is actually one of the only 2 or 3 players in the 76ers roster that's showing that he wants to win. He's putting up great numbers.
So, you're right.
If anything, I would actually keep Tobias Harris.
I take that back, Grant. Okay. No need to get aggressive, bro.
And I would actually trade Joel Embiid instead.
Whoa. Okay.
Joel Embiid, he's just been injury prone throughout the years. If you look at it every year, he has that one major injury that puts him back. He's always in the medical offices. He's always on the bench. Basically dispatches him off the court. And it's really sad, and he's a great big man. But if I were to pick between Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, I'm going to go with Joel Embiid. But then again, the Sixers can get great assets from him. So I feel like it would make sense if he rather gets a healthy player from not from Joel Embiid, but from a different team to trade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, you get my point.
I get your point, but I kind of disagree. I'm the one who thinks that Joel Embiid should be the one kept. I think he's a centerpiece of the Sixers, and instead, why don't you trade Ben Simmons away? And
Ben Simmons. Oh man.
yeah, hear me out real quick. There have been a lot of trade rumors that have been coming out for Ben Simmons. I mean, they're saying the Toronto Raptors should go for him, but I think the Cleveland Cavaliers, that would be a great fit because you could get some great assets for a player like Ben Simmons. Get Darius Garland, get Kevin Love, who has championship experience. Get someone like Kevin Porter or Dylan Windler off that team. I think who are great young players, great young shooters who can like fit in well into the Sixers offense. I think Ben Simmons just needs to change the scenery. I think if he goes to the Cavs and team up with like Colin Sexton and Andre Drummond, that's his team right there. He's going to establish himself as a great player, as a leader, and I think he should be playing small forward instead of point guard. I like him at small forward more than I do like him at point guard. And I mean, with Joel Embiid, I think he is the 76ers right now. When we think of the 76ers, we think of Joel Embiid, then we do think of Ben Simmons. But at the end of the day, that's just my opinion. I think that the Sixers should trade Ben Simmons. Why don't you guys tell us, who do you think the Sixers should keep, Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid?
Please write your comments in our post below, or even free. You guys can be free to message us.
Of course,
you guys think the Sixers should keep?
Yeah, no, but going back to this, though, so we just talked about a terrible team with terrible coaching. How about let's go to a great team that's well coached? The Toronto Raptors with their coach of the year, Nick Nurse.
I want to give a clap for him. First off, I want to congratulate Mr. Nurse. He's earned himself a big achievement, and that was coach of the year. Now, when you look at the Toronto Raptors, this just proves that you don't need 5 or 6 All-Stars just like the 76ers. They're totally the opposite team of the Sixers. They're a team who has a couple of All-Stars like Pascal Siakam and Kyle Lowry, and yet the rest of them are great role players. Fred VanVleet, Serge Ibaka, who else? Marc Gasol, Norman Powell, OG Anunoby, and going on and so on. Nick Nurse knows how to develop players. He knows how to coach at a higher level, unlike Jim Boylan and Brett Brown. And like I said, they have a couple All-Stars, but they're still having a great winning record, and they're putting up great numbers, the players too. It shows how well they can construct this team to being on top. And they won the championship last year too. Are you kidding me? He was a first-year coach, and he already won a championship. I wouldn't be surprised if they even win the championship this year.
No, not at all.
Just mark my words. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I'm very happy for the Toronto Raptors organization. Yeah, they know how to develop players for sure, like Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, Terrence Davis. They know how to develop those players, and so on too.
Yeah, don't sleep on LeBronto. I mean Toronto. LeBron's out of the East. Why would we even call that LeBronto? But no. The Toronto Raptors are definitely brewing something down there. It's not just the Toronto Raptors. Go to their G League team, the 905 Raptors. There's something brewing down there because they brought the coach from there. Nick Nurse was coaching the 905 Raptors, brought him into the coaching staff. They brought in Pascal Siakam from there. They brought in Fred VanVleet. They brought in Chris Boucher, Terrence Mann. That team is so well-rounded offensively and defensively. They got 2 good rising stars. They got 3 great vets. They just got a good ensemble cast of role players who can go off at any given moment if one player is down.
What I love, what I love about this team is their chemistry.
Yes,
they have such great chemistry, and it shows as to why this team's successful as a unit. And and they just keep winning games, and that just all comes from the chemistry.
Mm-hmm. And another Eastern Conference power forward that is making headlines right now, Giannis Antetokounmpo, just won Defensive Player of the Year. And now when I heard about this award-winning, a lot of my friends who are Lakers fans and like a lot of just people who love Anthony Davis, they're like, oh, this is Tom fuckery. They think this is just fuckery. Grant, is that a tier? Is that a tier, man?
No.
Lakers fans, you guys are allowed to cry.
And Anthony Davis. I think it's absurd that the NBA had to give that achievement to Giannis Antetokounmpo. Man, I'm so pissed. And besides me being a Laker fan, the stat sheet shows that AD deserved it way more than Giannis Antetokounmpo did. With all due respect for Giannis, he's rising. He's an MVP. I respect that. But however, according to the stat sheet, it shows that AD had 143 blocks, while Giannis had only 66. And AD was averaging 2.3 blocks per game. Giannis was averaging 1 block per game, exactly. And when we go to steals, AD had 91 steals total in the regular season. Giannis had only 61. And for AD, he was averaging 1.5 steals per game, while Giannis was averaging exactly 1 steal per game. This stat sheet shows that AD was he wasn't only great on the offensive end, but even a better player on the defensive end. This guy's showing that he is capable of being the best defensive player. But I don't know how they would give it to Giannis Antetokounmpo. And again, I think it's absurd. Not saying because I'm a Laker fan, but it shows from the stats and from his daily games.
Well, Grant, what I hear is I think you need to cry a little more, man. I think you have some tears left. Should I give you some time, man?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
You sure?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
I teared up a little bit, but hey, I proved my point.
Yeah, no. Hey, regardless of who should have won that award, I just want to say before I say anything, I'm not going to take Shaq's route and try congratulating Giannis in Greek, man, because that's not my ballpark. I'm not going to I'm not trying to fuck up, dude. But with that said, I mean, Giannis getting this sort of achievement, and if he goes back to back MVP this season, you know how good that's gonna look on his resume, bro.
His resume is getting more prominent and prominent as the years go by. It's showing that he's capable of building a great resume, which would leave him a very valuable NBA player going on.
And hey, NBA fans, Giannis, Luka Doncic, Pascal Siakam, they're all making a statement right here. Don't sleep on foreign players. Foreign players are dominating this league. NBA is becoming global. You know, we got players from Europe like Giannis and Luka, players from Africa like Pascal and Joel, and players from Asia like Rui Hachimura. You know, just trying to show that the NBA is becoming a global sport, and players all around the world are coming into the NBA making their mark. Don't sleep on them.
Hey, American players aren't the only ones who are talented. Europeans, Asians, like Kishan said, they're all rising. It's showing that foreign nations could develop players like Ryu Hachimura, Luka Doncic, or Pascal Siakam indeed. So, and guys, by the way, who do you guys think should have won? Who do you guys think should have won the Defensive Player of the Year? AD, Giannis Antetokounmpo, or Rudy Gobert? Please leave your thoughts in the comment. Please comment in the post below, or
Rudy Gobert should have won, man. He put the whole league on shutdown after his spread of COVID.
Yes, straight up.
Straight up. You tell fuck AD and fuck Giannis. And Rudy Gobert put the league on shutdown.
Yes.
Yeah. No, man. But on the real though, no. Congrats to Giannis Antetokounmpo. Yeah. You know, congrats to AD for putting up that effort and being in consideration for that, man.
Yeah.
He still had a great year.
And for Rudy Gobert too.
Mm-hmm. And hey, don't sleep on Mike Budenholzer. Without his coaching, Giannis would have not reached this level, you know?
Yes, definitely. He did the same thing back when he was the head coach for the Atlanta Hawks, when they had Dennis Schroeder, Paul Millsap, and Al Horford. They were all in their prime times, and I believe they went all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Only to get swept by LeBron.
Hey, it doesn't matter if they got swept. It shows that Mike Budenholzer can indeed coach a team that doesn't have that many All-Stars like the Atlanta Hawks, for instance, back then.
Hey, dude, that Hawks team had 4 All-Stars, actually.
Oh, they did?
They did. Jeff Teague, Paul Millsap, Al Horford, and Kyle Korver.
Damn, that's crazy. Yeah, and they had Kyle Korver, too.
Yeah.
A beast from behind the three-point mark.
Lights out shooter.
Definitely. Any team could wish to have a player like him just to shoot from lights out.
Straight up asset.
Yes.
Yeah, no. Going from one great coach, let's go to another great coach, Nate McMillan. And surprisingly, the Pacers fired Nate McMillan. It was uncalled for, man. What do you think about this, bro?
Well, first off, I think it's bullshit that the Pacers had to part ways with a great coach like Nate McMillan. I feel like he was showing on his end as to why he's a prominent coach and a highly IQ'd human being for the basketball part. And, you know, Although, yes, when you get swept by Miami Heat or another team, it can look really bad on your resume. But you got to think about it this way. They had Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo. Who else they had? Tyler Hero, and some of these more great players. And the Pacers just didn't have Domantas Sabonis or even a healthy Victor Oladipo. Like, I don't think that was fair on Nate McMillan's end. But then again, I'm not worried about him. He'll definitely get a coaching job somewhere else. If it were to be the Bulls, the Pelicans, Nets, or even the Sixers. And I would love to see him on – by the way, specifically, there's two teams that I would love to see him on, either the Bulls or the Sixers. No, I feel like with this coaching style, he can really make these teams even more dominant and can show that – and they can even be like the Toronto Raptors, just to be more dominant and to have a brand new coach on their organization to push this team to success.
I agree.
That's what I like. So,
I totally agree. I totally agree with you, man. The Sixers actually are a perfect team for Nate McMillan. The Sixers need a win-now coach, you know? And Nate McMillan just screams 76ers with his style of offense and defense. He kind of runs this like grit and grind style like we saw with the Pacers. I think that'd be perfect for the Sixers, you know? I think Joel Embiid would thrive in a grit and grind system, being that type of big man he is, you know? And I think Nate McMillan shouldn't worry. And if anything, the worst that could happen is he goes and becomes an assistant coach. And look where that's got Ty Lue and Jay Kidd right now. They're in considerations for becoming a head coach right now. So I think, you know, Nate McMillan, you rest easy, my guy. You're good, dude. You're gonna get a good coaching job. I have nothing to worry about for you.
Yeah, Pacers are making themselves look like imbeciles by parting ways with someone like you. So I wouldn't even trip if I was him. He's gonna be
exactly.
It's just a matter of time. He just needs to be patient, let the playoffs end. Then they'll most likely reach out to him. But I'm totally confident he'll get that job. I'm not worried about him at all.
Of course. And to round things out, recently we saw in Kenosha a shooting just happened of Jacob Blake, and a lot of pandemonium just happened. Because of this pandemonium, Giannis Antetokounmpo, George Hill, and the Milwaukee Bucks organization decided to boycott the NBA game and take a knee. And when they did this caused storm in the NBA, and all the players followed them and decided not to play their games. From LeBron James tweeting out about this situation, everyone is very mad, but I have to say, you know, what Giannis did, what the whole NBA did as players, I respect them. I have nothing but respect.
It was a very powerful move.
Mm-hmm.
It shows that they don't give a shit about basketball like that. They care more about their rights and for people to have their freedom. Because in the United States, people come here for freedom, to have opportunities. And to see police brutalities and other stuff like that, it's really sad. That's why the players are tired of seeing stuff like that. They're standing up. They're using their First Amendment to show how powerful they are and how much change they can make. And even NBA owners had to even listen during the meeting with Michael Jordan, for instance. He let the NBPA president and Oklahoma City Thunder point guard Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook talk. He was listening to them to see what they wanted instead of what the owners wanted.
That, you know, that's just so nice to see that. You know, it seems like everyone's coming together. They just want peace in the world like we all do, you know, and they're using their media power to give this sort of attention. They just want good for society, and I respect that. I fully respect that. I fully support that. And, I mean, it just looks good on them as players. You know, they have that power to do that, and they're using it, you know, they're making a statement.
Definitely. I give lots of props and respect to all those players, especially for George Hill, who started all this.
Yes, George Hill.
And if it wasn't for George Hill, like, we would have probably seen the second round of the playoffs. Like, they would have most likely started.
Yeah. Agreed, man.
Okay, guys, and we have came to the conclusion of our second episode of Oopscast. Guys, thank you for watching our videos and listening to our videos. Me and Kishan really appreciate it a lot. And if you guys have any suggestions or any advice or anything else you guys want to listen to for our following episodes, please leave a comment below or please DM us. Me and Kishan are open-minded people. We're open to ideas, new ideas, what you guys want. Because at the end of the day, what's important to us is that you guys enjoy our content. But if there's something that you guys want, just tell us.
Of course, of course. Yeah, just talk to us. We can get your ideas out. If there's a topic you guys want to see, we can try our best to presenting it in our best views and whatnot. I mean, at the end of the day, we're not perfect either, but we're gonna do our best to like show whatever we can and show what you guys like. Follow our Instagram page. The link, all follow our personal pages. All the tags will be down in the description. And like we said, you could just hit us up. I mean, we do polls on our IG page. You guys seem to like those. We'll continue doing those. We'll continue to try getting you guys entertained in this time right now. And I hope you guys are safe. I hope everyone is okay. And with that said, let's wrap this up. This is the Oopscast. This is Kishan Desai and
Grant Ryan.
Deuces.
And adios, folks.
Deuces.